You heard the call. I asked for tactics. You guys responded. And on today's show, we're going to test one of your tactics to see how it does in the game. My name is Daljit. Welcome to the show. I'm using a new tool that's available to the whole community. You will find the link to their Discord below in the description. This is the Total Tactics Tester. We've got one team in 4 leagues. The 4 leagues are very different. You've got a league that is an elite league where you've got top sides, so your team is actually an underdog. We've got another league, which is the Balanced Teams League, which is meant to be a reflection of other leagues around the region or in Europe. So essentially, there'll be 2 teams who are going to be favorites to win, and some teams that might go down, and a whole bunch of other teams stuck in the middle. Then we've got the third league. Now here, the teams are of a similar stature, so most of these sides can beat each other. Finally, we got the Underdogs League. Now, if you put in your tactic and you play in this league, well, you better beat everybody because you're the favorite. I want to thank Coinbird, Stick Piano, SNG, and the rest of the guys who helped me create the Total Tactics Tester. This is actually a custom league. You can load it into your save and you can try different things out. All you got to do is give every manager a tactic, and then holiday mode, remembering please, to tell them to use that tactic. Of course, there's a guide on the Discord channel in case you guys want to learn how to use it. I received loads of tactics, but today we're picking one. Let's take a look at David's tactic, which is meant to be a loose translation of the way Chelsea play. He's got a 3-2-2-2-1, or whatever you want to call this, a 5-2-2-1. He's got 3 central defenders. He's got 1 white center back on attack. He's interestingly got them with shoot less often. Okay. And he's got a central defender with take few risks. Now you've also got a wing back with stay wider. You've got 2 wing backs who have stay wider as an instruction, and 2 wingers who have been told to sit narrower and roam from position. You also got an F9. Now we are going to simulate this with this team. They're in a league. They're going to be in 4 different leagues, and Muriel is decent as an F9. He's not the greatest as an F9. We would like him to have some more teamwork, but it's not. He's still one of the better options in this team. And then we've got Insignia, Lozano. We've got play instructions. Now there's something about the UI in Football Manager 22. Certain bugs in the UI have been there since FM12. One of the bugs that is in the UI has got to do with how the play instructions and the team instructions translate, in terms of what we see. Okay, here you've got team instructions set to slightly more direct, and then you've got players who pass it shorter. Now, what does this mean? Does this mean he's going to stick to pass it shorter? No, that team instruction is going to affect him. It's not going to be as dramatic as one who doesn't have the play instruction, because a play instruction acts like a weight, like an anchor. So he's got shorter passing. The team has been told to pass it at maybe 13. He's been told to pass it at about 5. What's going to happen is that his passing is going to be lengthened, but not as much as somebody who doesn't have the PI. That's how it works. Now, if you're going to ask me what the exact value is, nobody can give you the answer, because it really depends on SI. Now, if you look here, trigger press as well. This is another UI glitch. I'm going to do a video of all the UI glitches that are in the game. Not all, but most, the ones that annoy me, and you come up to speed. But for now, don't worry about this. He's still gonna be affected. But now, especially when you change mentality, when you go to extreme levels of mentality, these are meant to shift these instructions that have got to do with passing tempo. They're all supposed to influence every single player. Once again, what you see on the screen may not be accurate in terms of the UI. One of these days, I hope SI fixes this. I'm not holding my breath. It didn't do very well, because against teams of a similar stature, it struggled. Here you can see Napoli lost 12 games, only won 11, and it finished disappointingly in 7th position. Then in the Balanced League, which is a reflection of what a normal league would be like, it finished in the bottom half of the table. Against underdogs, it did really well, and against top sides, it didn't really do well at all. They had 6 wins across an entire season, and that's about it. So this tactics definitely requires some work. If it's going to be a tactic that's solid across most teams, it might need a few tweaks. Wide centre backs tend to sometimes give up a fair bit of space in between the lines here. The opposing team is able to get between the lines very easily, pulling your defenders apart. And then when this happens, you've got a whole spaces open up, making it fairly easy for opposition sides to work opportunities in and around the area. When the opposition have the ball and they're moving the ball in and around your box, it's fairly easy for your players to get pulled out of position. Once again, space opens up. They manage to get players in and around the penalty area. The important thing to remember is this: most tactics are going to be decent. Right? If you've got a good team, it should play well against most teams, especially if they're underdog teams. What some people may not understand is that the same tactic with a few minor changes or team instructions can play differently against different kinds of competition. I know I like to give roaming instructions to my final third players, but that's because when I create a tactic, I'm looking to hold possession in their third, and I'm very patient about moving the ball around, and I'm confident about the quality of my players to pull that off. But that shouldn't be a default PI that people put in their tactics hoping that they can score more goals. Issue with a lot of these 5-2-3 systems is they need to be very attacking. They need to get into the opposition third and do a lot of damage. So what we did was we have prevent shot goalkeeper distribution so that we apply a lot of pressure on opposition sides. We play with a much higher line of engagement and a higher defensive line. Now, you could start this for a lot of games. And up front, we've got tackle harder on these three roles. Because what we want them to do, only two roles. So we've got tackle harder on these two. And we've also chosen a role in front. It was either a complete forward or an advanced forward. Those were the two ideas in my head. Then we stuck with your CM support and your CM defense. At the end of the day, when you choose these kind of roles, it's going to be driven largely by the attributes of the player and their traits. However, I completely took out those pass it shorter instructions, because if you give these players only the option to pass it shorter, you're asking for trouble, because they need to sometimes switch play. You might have a player there who's got dictates tempo, and it's a bit of a pity if you tell him to pass it short, because he could switch the ball to the other flank. At the back, we've got wing backs on attack. Now, the wing backs on attack, we really want them to get up the pitch. Now, because we've got three defenders, I don't see the point of having support duties here at all. You want these boys to be pushing up the pitch. And because this is the part of the game where we have to be a bit more creative at times. Now, there's an overlap and an underlap instruction. Why? An underlap is great because we've got inside forward here. This inside forward is going to attack the box. Now, if you put an underlap instruction, the widest player is going to hold up the ball looking for players on the inside making runs. Now, we've got an inside forward making a run here, and we've got a winger on the other side of the pitch making a run. On top of that, we've got a wing back who might arrive late. So we've got three options now that can get into the box. And this wing back is absolutely going to relish the idea of the underlap shot, because he's going to have a few options to pass the ball to. On the left, we've got an overlap instruction, because again, we don't have anybody here like an inside forward or round outer. So what we're going to do on this side of the pitch with these roles is stretch the play. Now, some people don't understand the underlap or the overlap instruction very much. What it does is it makes these roles a bit more aggressive, which is what we really want. And because of the underlap and the overlap instruction, these roles in the final third, while they are on attack duty, they will still check their runs because they know somebody is overlapping or underlapping them. The two roles in the center have been told to tackle harder. We've asked the wing backs now to play slightly differently. We told them to pass it shorter, take fewer risks, and mark tighter. How is this even possible? This is a UI bug. Okay, now if you go into the game, you notice that if you uncheck this instruction here, let's just clear all these instructions. All right, this is where UI bugs come into play. All right, we have a wing back here. When you go to his instructions the first time, you will see standard and shorter. If you click on this, you've locked him into shorter passing. So while the team is on a more attacking, they might be on a higher attacking mentality, or the team can be on direct passing for all that matters, his passing instructions are being affected by the PI. Then I check this, and what we've got is pass it shorter and take more risks. Now, what was the last one I added? Okay, mark tighter. Yeah, you want to add mark tighter. The reason here is simple. We've got this bunch of players pressing and tackling opposition players. You want somebody to win the second ball. What you want them to do is you want them to stay tight on wingers so that as your players in the center tackle harder, trying to win the second ball, these guys are keeping those wingers marked tight. Finally, this is a 5-2-3. If we've got counter pressing on, a lot of players are going to break their positions trying to go and win the ball back. We don't really need one. We're fairly attacking with our roles and duties. Let's leave this unchecked. We don't need to hit regroup. We don't need to hit counter press. We'll just have counter as an instruction set up whenever possession has been won. We have attacking duties. We have players in the final third, so it's a good idea to have counter on. So how did the tactic do? It didn't do too badly. Champions in the average league, champions in the underdog league, surprisingly third in the elite leagues, which means that it actually is a reasonable setup against more attacking sides. And then in the balanced league, it finished where meets expectations as far as I'm concerned. I mean, if it had outperformed, then it will be in the first two positions. What I recommend people learn how to do is keep their base tactic and just make slight changes to team instructions to change the flow of a game. I mean, here again, we're keeping things as simple as possible. All I have here is get stuck in, slightly more often trigger press, and get stuck in. We are in a mid block. And all we're trying to do is we're trying to draw teams in, and then what we want to do is go wide, direct, higher tempo, hit early cross, and pass into space. We're just drawing them in, and we are being very cautious by trying to go for counter-attacking opportunities. This could be another version of the same tactic, a more controlled version where we don't overcommit our resources. There's no prevent shot goalkeeper distribution that can break our shape. Similarly, we don't use any counter-pressing or counter instructions. Counter-pressing can also break your shape, especially if you're attacking and then your players they move further forward to try and win the ball, opening up space in the center of the park. Finally, we're playing fairly wide, slightly more direct, slightly higher, with hit early crosses, dribbling less, and being more disciplined. Thank you, David, for sending in a tactic. Now, for some of the others who've sent in their tactics, we'll probably be looking at them during a live stream on Wednesdays over on my other channel, BTN Live. So if you want to pop in, that will be a perfect time to do it. Now, if you want your hands on the Total Tactics Tester, there's a link below. It will invite you to a Discord channel, Total Tactics Discord, where there's a whole bunch of people there that are testing tactics out. So you may want to go join them and share your thoughts as well. I hope you enjoyed today's show and you found it useful. Once again, I want to thank everybody for the continued support of this channel. You have made this tester possible. So thank you very much. You guys, meanwhile, stay safe, stay healthy. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.